You know why they call it playing guitar? Because it's supposed to be fun, and a way that I like to have fun is by taking apart guitars like this to have a sneaky little peek underneath the pick guards and inside the trim cavities and even in the control cavities and things like that. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do in this video. I've got the Guild Surfliner Deluxe here. I've only had this out of the box like 4 or 5 days, something like that. I keep grabbing it. I keep having fun playing it in my own personal free time. I think it's a really fun guitar. But I'm curious. I want to see what's going on. So let's take a peek. Let's open this thing up. First of all, I want to check out this Guild branded vibrato here. Here we go. I'm going to start taking strings off. Oh, I forgot they're locking tuners. That makes things so easy. But I want to check out the guts of this vibrato to see how they compare to a standard like Fender or other branded style offset vibrato. I have been experiencing some creaking and a little bit of knocking from this vibrato. It's not doing it right now that I've got 2 strings off of it. And also there's a slight issue, or it's not really an issue, but it could eventually be an issue, where the high E is actually pressing against, just very lightly pressing against this tension adjuster for where the wiggle stick connects. I want to see if I can make any adjustments to the way the plate is connecting, or maybe shift it over just a little bit. There's little tricks that you can do with offset vibratos. Clanking and little sounds and creaks and things like that are part of the fun of offset vibratos. So, you know, when you get a guitar like this, you just have to expect a little bit of that and then expect to spend some time obsessing over it and working out those details. I'm also going to give this a completely fresh set of strings. I'm assuming it came stock with a set of 9s or maybe 10s, because that's pretty common for retail ready guitars because they are comfortable modern gauges of strings. I want to try it with an 11 to 52 set for a more surfy sound. I also want to explore underneath the pickguard to see if there's room for some fun mods in the future. Maybe a kill switch, maybe extra switches for, you know, like coil splits and things like that, though I could do push-pulls to achieve that. But I also just want to see what's going on underneath there. There's 2 different reasons why people mod guitars. The first reason, which I think is always a bit of a bad sign, but you know, you can address issues. The first reason is because you don't like the guitar. There's something about the guitar that you don't like, and you're hoping that a modification will save it and make it more fun for you, make it worth keeping around. Swap those pickups, swap a pot, put an extra switch in there, do something weird, try to make it more endearing to you. And then the second type of mod is where you already love the guitar and you want to do other things to it that you also love. And I think that's where I'm at with this guitar. I love this guitar. There is always a little bit of room for improvement, but because I love playing with it and I really enjoy it, I want to personalize it. What type of modding do you usually do? Are you usually trying to save a guitar, or are you usually trying to make it something more than it already is because you already love it? See, look at this. When the strings are off and the tension is off, there's actually a bit of wiggle room here. I bet that if I was very particular with this, when putting the strings on, I could guide where it's going to sit, and I wouldn't get that issue with the string resting against there. I have to be careful not to get the B string resting against the other side though. But I think there is potential there to just be mindful of this design and not have that be an issue as I string it. A question some people had, and that I have honestly, is will this guitar take an aftermarket vibrato? It has this uniquely shaped custom Guild plate here for the vibrato. Does that mean that if you put an aftermarket vibrato on here, the screws won't completely line up? Obviously one of these won't, but maybe the other one will, or maybe both won't. maybe a open hole will be exposed if you put an aftermarket trim on here. These are questions that people want answered, and I'm one of those people. Gotta say though, I think the guild plate is pretty fun and classy. All right, there we go. Looks pretty standard to me. Yeah, no clinking or scraping while I'm doing it manually here. I have a feeling that when it got tuned up, it settled into an odd position, which is why that string was rubbing here in the first place. And that's why I was getting some clunking and clanking and things like that when I first got it out of the box. It started to right itself as I used it more and more. I think it settled in. But yeah, this looks to me like a pretty standard offset vibrato design. There's a little piece of metal right there that the whole thing floats on. Some people like to do a mod where they take this all apart and they grind this to have more of a sharp knife edge, so it's resting on a knife edge instead of a square edge. I think that's a completely valid modification to make to try to get a smoother action, but I'm not going to do that in this video. But it looks fine. Plenty of room on that spring right there, it appears. Seems to bottom out when the arm is all the way down. We'll see how it takes heavier strings. That'll be a big question. Will this be a candidate for a heavier spring at some point if it doesn't like the 11 to 52 set that I'm going to put on here? But yeah, that looks fine to me. I honestly love this arm tightening feature on here. I would buy just the collet to attach this to other offset vibratos, to have that as a feature. Like, keep the rest of the vibrato, just buy this unit right here to screw into other offset vibratos to have that locking arm. So wherever they're sourcing this from, I'd like to put in an order here and there if I could. So let's see, I've got an aftermarket offset vibrato here, the Descendant, which is a really great unit, by the way. Really solid, modern style unit. Different, but comparable to like your Masteries and sorts of things like that. It doesn't look like it lines up with any of the screw holes. It's a completely unique screw hole pattern on this. And it looks like you would end up leaving one of the screw holes uncovered. So there is your answer. If you want to throw an aftermarket, say a more premium, more boutique sort of trim on here, you're gonna need to drill new holes and you're gonna have a hole exposed. Is that a deal breaker? I don't know. I'm pretty happy with this. But it might be a deal breaker for many of you out there. This one, by the way, has a tightening option for the arm, but it is hidden inside the hole here out of the way, which is a smart way to do that as well. Interesting that the guitar is not grounded through the trim cavity. It must be grounded off the bridge. Usually with like Jazz Masters and Jaguars and things like that, the ground comes out like right about here and tucks underneath there. Let's take a look underneath the pickguard, see if there's anything special going on under here. I'm expecting to see the backside of pickups and some wires running into the control cavity here. I'm hoping that the routing for the original Surfliner is intact underneath here where there used to be the 3 pickup selector switches, allowing for a fun place to do some extra mods, some switches, things like that. It would be interesting if there was some cavity room down under here too. I usually like to have like a kill switch down below the strings. I have done them above the strings before and done like a thumb tapping thing, but I like to get my fingers down here. So if there's some room down there, I might do a kill switch mod on this, because that's a fun thing I like to do. All right. I didn't have the camera pointed at the right area. Here we go. Now you guys can see it. Look at that. So we've got the original route here for those pickup selector switches, which means I could mount a kill switch or some other modifying switch up here. I would probably opt for like a Mustang slider style switch. Obviously not flick switches. They would get hit by my hand up in this position, but Mustang switches would do very well right there. No space down here. So if I wanted to do a kill switch on the lower bout, I would need to remove wood. I'm probably not gonna get around to doing that. I don't know. If I was really, really loving this guitar and really wanted to do it, I would make it happen. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Here's the back of the pickups. Believe it or not, I still don't have a functioning multimeter. My old one broke. I need to get a new one. I really just need to go over to Harbor Freight and buy one. I was trying to window shop for like an ideal one, like something on Amazon that I could have an affiliate link for, and you guys would be like, oh yeah, that's the one I'm gonna get. I just need to get one to have it. But we've got some fairly standard looking backs of pickups here. No huge surprises. I want to check in the control cavity to see if this is splittable. I bet this is splittable. It's got that chrome cover on there, which makes you think it's something funky, but I have a feeling that's a pretty standard humbucker underneath the cover. Kind of wish I did have that multimeter though, so we could know the output of those pickups. They have a jangly sound to them. They're a different sort of sounding pickup compared to, like, say, a Jaguar or even a Strat. Or definitely a Jazzmaster. It's got its own voice, which I think is fun. I wonder if this would take that roller bridge that I have. I've been trying to find a home for this roller bridge forever. Just eyeballing it. I don't think it's going to happen. These are different post sizes here. Well, the posts fit in there. No, these are different sized posts. Someday I'm gonna find a compatible guitar for this roller bridge that I have living in a drawer. Not that this guitar even needs it. It's been shockingly tuning stable despite having a tune-o-matic on it. I have preferences against using tune-o-matics with offset style vibratos. And it's been misproving some of my misconceptions, I suppose. I have noticed that it takes a little bit more motion to get light vibrato out of this, and I've been wondering if that's because of the bridge resisting against the vibrato a little bit. But that's just a theory at this point. All right, let's flip it over and get into that control cavity. The control plate is in there very snug. There's not enough lip to pry it out. So you know what I'm gonna do? The jack is right there, and I bet if I go through, there we go. Here we go, big reveal. What's in the back? We've got some full-size alpha pots in here. It's always nice to see. And it looks like clean wiring and soldering. Where's the end of that humbucker line here? Oh, I think I see it. It's all bundled together here. But yes, there it is, right there. Those are the two wires that would allow me to coil split that humbucker. Can I get off the heat shrink? There we go. Oh man, I'm gonna have to do that. Am I gonna do that in this video? I did pull out some push pulls. I'll need to figure out the resistance of this pot to match it, I have a couple options here, I think. Got a 500K push-pull. I have a 1 meg push-pull. Forget which one this is. And a 250. My bases should be covered. If I can get this pot out of here, then I should be able to do a push-pull mod on this right now. That'll be fun. We're actually doing something in this video. A 500K, all right. Which one of these was 500? This guy right here. Push-pull, that is compatible with the knob, right? Yep, fits on there. Always got to check little details like that, just in case. Now, do I solder it all up before I throw it in there? All right, time to get the soldering iron out. And use the hot holder by our friends over at Austin Ribbon Mics. Extremely useful thing. So the tone pot is rewired and should be operational as normal. I'm going to put it into place so that I know exactly how long I need the wires to be for that push-pull function. I always forget exactly how these switches work, so I'll look up a diagram. In theory, I've done it. We'll see when I actually get it buttoned up, get strings on it, and everything like that. We'll see if I was successful. But I think that I did. I feel pretty decent about that. Easy mod. I'll put some screws in here. We'll get it strung up and we'll test it out. Thankfully, this has that back panel accessibility there. So if I did screw it up, I don't have to take the strings off and do a full, autopsy on the guitar and get all the way into the rib cage of this thing to figure out what I did wrong. But I'm pretty confident I didn't do it wrong. So before stringing it up, I'm taking a close look at the movement and the action of this thing here. And I think it's just really tight on the sides. And I just need to be very careful when I'm stringing it that it doesn't get off center. I'm going to be checking out and keeping a close eye on how the string spacing is around that connection there, just to make sure that it's all even. If I need to adjust it after the fact, I can loosen these 3 screws and slide the plate forward a little bit and then reseat them. So that'll be a bit of a desperate measure if I need to do that, but I will do it if I have to. Let's get into these Stringjoy strings, sponsor of the podcast. I've got a very surfy set here, 11 to 52. See if I can open them without slicing my fingers open with this rusty Scout knife. So I've got 4 of the 6 strings on, and I've got the trim nudged all the way over to the left here with a gap on the right. You can see there's a little bit of a gap there. I was able to wiggle it over, and the B string still is not touching that connector, which gives me hope that the high E will have room and won't be touching that when I install it. But let's see. Fingers crossed. I really haven't been able to detect any functional issue with that string rubbing against that. I'm sure in extreme scenarios it could be a bad thing, but I was trying to listen or feel for any sort of audible response for it. And I could, like, touching the string while depressing the vibrato, I wasn't feeling any scraping or anything like that. It's, you know, it's a metal string against chrome. It seems to slide just fine. There was no functional issue. It's just this sort of thing where it's like, I want to see if I can make it line up perfect, you know? Also, I really like that tightening system and I want to see it be successful. I'd love to see that on all sorts of offset vibratos. It's just barely floating above it now. Yeah, just a light tap makes it touch. I think everything's going to be okay. Let's see if I can get a photo of that. And then the low E, and then I tune it up, and then we see if I did it right. Or if there's any new issues that pop up putting a heavier set of strings on here. I think it'll be fine. Something I'm a little concerned about is whether or not I'll need to adjust the nut. Sometimes when you put heavier strings on a guitar, the nut needs an adjustment. I recently witnessed someone loosening locking tuners and accidentally releasing the string because they didn't understand what locking tuners actually do. They thought, as many of us do when we first learn about the existence of locking tuners, they assumed that the lock keeps the string locked in place, preventing it from, preventing the tuner from turning, preventing you from going out of tune. That's not the way it works. It locks the string in here so you can use less winds and easily remove and install the strings. And they released that lock and the string popped out and I felt bad for them. But that's how we learn. We learn by making fun little mistakes that cost us $5 or $10. Oh, almost forgot to put the knob back on. There we go. All right, let's tune it up and see what we got. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What have I done? I did something wrong and bad. Oh no. When I turn the tone all the way up, it kills the signal. And it's not adjusting the tone at all. And then when I push in, oh, what did I do? Did I screw this up? Oh boy, this is gonna be a long video, isn't it? All right, let's crack it open and see if I can figure it out. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. This was supposed to be a fun video. Now it's going to be a frustrating video. Moment of truth. Did I fix the issue? I've got the pot wired backwards. It's not the first time I've made that mistake. Does the coil cut work though? It cuts the whole signal. What have I done? I'm not gonna try to fix the backwards pot, but I'm gonna look at another schematic and see if I did something obviously wrong with wiring that switch. Oh, I'm an idiot. I split the wires. You're supposed to leave them connected and then run it to the... oh my gosh. I don't do coil splits every day. I worked way harder than I needed to. Ah, you dumbass. All right, let's fix it. I once had someone tell me in a comment, I'd never take a guitar to you as a tech. Good! I'm not a tech and I don't want to be. I want to make dumb videos for a living. I don't want to work on guitars for other people. All right, did I solve it? I did something. I think I solved it. Nice. All right, now I'll tune it up. It tuned up pretty dang quick. I think the new strings are helping it a lot too. It's a warm sounding humbucker on the bridge, but those fresh, heavier strings have a bit more twang to them, don't they? Let's try it with the coil split. Got the tone all the way open by rolling it back. It would actually be kind of fun. Maybe I should leave it that way. All right, here it is humbucker. Here it is split. How does it pair with the middle pickup? Here's the middle pickup. Here's the bridge split. Here they are together. Oh, they're humbucking too. Well, hum canceling, they're not humbucking. A little bit of hum there on the bridge. No hum on the two. And there's hum on the middle. Unsplit. Back to split. Yeah, I'd say that works. Last time I covered a surfliner, the first surfliner they sent me, I was like, it needs a wiggle stick. Now they sent me the deluxe, and I'm like, it needs a coil split. It's not a hard mod to do, even though I fudged it up here today. I wired the pot the exact way the last one was. Does a different style pot get wired backwards? Did I screw it up by not understanding that somehow? I'll have to figure that out on my own time. It's a little bit hard to grab That's fine. I was about to say maybe I should get myself a 500K push instead of a push-pull. I like those push-pushes. But it's fine grabbing it. I just need to open it up, pull that pot out, and swap the wires around. But I'm feeling lazy, and I've been recording for 2 hours now, so I'm gonna save it for another time. The trim actually feels better with the heavier strings. A little bit more responsive. Not as stiff. I lost the script there at the end, but it does it. I like that a lot. I like having access to that really bright, thin spaghetti Western sound versus that richer, more mid-pushed, higher output humbucker. Feeling sloppy right now. Recording a 2-hour-long video takes it out of you. I'm happy. Are you happy? We went on a little bit of a journey together here today. I think the guitar has more sounds in it now, obviously, with that coil split. I need to open it back up and figure out what I did wrong to get that pot wired backwards. Things happen. I've done that on other guitars and I've fixed it. I'm glad I could figure out how to get that high E floating off of that trem arm situation there, even if it's just very slightly floating off of it. It's just barely not touching, but it's not touching. And I'm not getting any of the creaks or pops, any of the clunks and clanks that I got when I first took this out of the box. I think shifting this around and getting it to seat really nice and firm helped that quite a bit. Nice smooth operation there now. I think the heavier strings aid in the smooth feeling here. It doesn't feel like the most premium offset trem I've ever used, but it feels better and it feels completely acceptable, in my opinion. We found out that if you want to swap in an aftermarket trim, it's not going to line up with the screws. Something on my board is freaking out. Turn that off for now. Yeah, an aftermarket trim, a standard Fender style trim is not going to line up with the screws on here. You will end up with an open hole, but I honestly think it'll just kind of disappear. It's not going to look perfect factory finish, but I don't think most people are going to notice that extra hole there. But that might be a deal breaker for you. It's not for me. Also, I don't think I'm going to swap this out. I think I'm going to keep it in there. I am thinking about other mods. Now that I know there's an open cavity right there, it would be fun to put a different pickguard on this. I think with this green metallic finish here, I think a gold metallic pickguard would look super, super classy. The chances of me finding an anodized pickguard for this guitar are super duper low. It's not gonna happen, but I bet I could find like a Gretschy gold, like one of those acrylic pickguards, this back sprayed gold. I bet I could find someone to cut me one of those for this guitar. I think that would be a really cool look. And if we did that, if I was able to find that, I bet they could cut slots for Mustang sliders up here. And I could have that coil split on one slider and then maybe regain the functionality of the original SURFLINERS, where you could do all the pickups if you wanted with a switch to turn on just the neck. So if I wanted to do the neck and that bridge together, and then maybe a third switch for like series parallel or something like that? Am I getting too ambitious? Or I could just say, screw it and put a great big fat arcade button kill switch right there. So when this thing is feeding back, I can just That'd be a lot of fun too. So what do you guys think? Any suggestions as far as pickguard materials, mods I could do now that I know that there's space to do it? And any other questions you have about this guitar? Looking forward to reading all the comments. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude, nasty comments. Support us on Patreon. Buy a shirt if you're naked, and stay grounded. Bye, everybody.